You know that there is a publishing company that wants to make life easier for you as a writer. This publishing company is called World Inkers Printing and Publishing. We publish in all different languages, and we're looking for writers of all genres, all formats. We're looking for scholars, ghostwriters, playwrights, poets, short fiction, novelists, you name it. We're looking for anybody who is interested in writing and the craft of writing to be in touch with us. You can reach us at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. With World Inkers Printing and Publishing, you do not require a lot of money to publish with us. Contact us today at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. Become a winner with other authors at World Inkers Printing and Publishing. Give us a shot. We will surely finish you. And hello, welcome to World Inkers Network, a Parrot TV show. This is episode number 315. Thanks for joining us. Subscribe to our channel. Today we have Dennis Brown. He was on episode number 72, if you guys remember him. He lives in the United States, residing in the state of Michigan. He's an educator with a bachelor's degree in special education. He has a major in emotionally impaired and a minor in English language and literature. He also has a master's degree in educational leadership. Dennis is the oldest of 3 children. He is married to his wife, Melissa, and is a proud parent of 2 children, Megan and Mason. Dennis is an author with a focus on poetry. He has collaborated with artists and poets alike. He has several YouTube videos of his work and has been spotlighted by various poetry groups. Dennis has also been invited by poetry groups to recite his poetry and has had poems recited on shows and within various poetry circles. He has been also been a keynote speaker at colleges in India, and his poetry has been widely acknowledged on news channels and newspapers throughout India. Currently, Dennis is an administrator on one of the largest Facebook sites called The Passion of Poetry, and it currently has 24,000 members and is growing daily. Dennis has been recognized for his writing worldwide. He has received numerous accolades and has produced both commissioned and published work. In January of this year, Dennis released his debut book of poetry called Reflections of Light, a poetically shared journey of self-discovery. He is currently working on his second book of poetry that will be released this fall. His hobbies include watching and playing various sports, watching his son play hockey, and collecting old horror memorabilia from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Welcome to the show today, Dennis. How's life in Michigan?
I'm doing all right. We're doing well. It's a beautiful weekend, actually. The weather is cooperating, so it's I think we're going to do some activities outside here this weekend. But yeah, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking.
Excellent. I'm glad to have you on the show today. So tell us a little bit about your first book. Why did you decide you wanted to publish a poetry collection?
It's kind of a journey that started. I've always written poetry, and it was just a journey that kind of began actually during COVID. And I know, like you had said earlier, I'd been on an earlier episode, and but I've always from a younger age written poetry off and on. And during COVID, it was kind of a release for me. I started getting back into it, and then I reached out to the Passion of Poetry, which you had said I'm an administrator of right now. I reached out to a lady, Miss Annette Tarpley, the founder, wonderful poetess. I reached out to her because we kind of wrote kind of similarly. And I liked her style of writing because we both kind of rhyme and use the rhyming scheme. And we just kind of started collaborating, and she gave me a little bit of confidence to start putting my stuff out there. And then since then, I have run into just tons of wonderful poets and from around the world. And, Mr. Sarfraz Ahmed, I know you've had him on before. I reached out to him shortly after Miss Annette Tarpley because I know they collaborated on a book together early on. And it just kind of snowballed from there. I got some confidence. I wrote. I've probably since COVID, I've probably written over 450 poems. I don't know. I've written a lot of poems. So I really didn't have the substance for my poetry, for my book until COVID hit. But then I just wrote and wrote and wrote. And like I said, it was an escape. It took me away from the everyday, what was going on, because at that time, obviously, we were all kind of unsure really what to think. And this was nice that it just brought me to wherever I wanted to be. I mean, whether if I was in a not so good of a mood or whatever, I'd write about that. If I was in a happy mood, I'd write about that. So, and that's the beauty of poetry, is just like you can write about anything, based on your feelings. But yeah, so I kind of reached out to some people, and then actually I got some connections on how to help me publish the book. And a lady out of Florida Sarfraz Ahmed really got me going. He got the backbones of it all going. And then, the outlines and things. And then he kind of turned his part over. And then I ended up reaching out to a lady out of Florida to help me kind of publish it. I ended up publishing it independently. There's going back, there's things that you kind of like, in hindsight, you learn, it's a learning process, So the next book that I plan on putting out here, which was hopefully going to be released this summer, it's going to be more in the fall now. I might go a little bit of a different direction as far as that goes. But yeah, Sarfraz actually wrote the back blurb to my book. Miss Annette Tarpley's in it with the forward, and it's called Reflections of Light. It's right here. It's probably obviously backwards, but it's actually, so it's right there. Yeah. So very
poetically shared journey.
Pardon?
A poetically shared journey.
Yeah. And then basically that's what it was. It's a poetically shared journey. I mean, I had a lot of people, helping me along the way, giving me the confidence to do it. It's a large book. It's over 300 pages. It's divided into different sections. The first section is basically about love, and then the second section is about loss, and then the third section is about like all kinds of themes. Actually, 4 sections. Sorry, and the 4th section is a collaborative work between among another poet and I. So I know like Sarfraz Ahmed is in there. Patiba Savini, I think you might have interviewed her.
I'm not interviewed her, but I know the name. Yeah.
Yes, and then Duraj Seth is in there. So yeah, so it's just it's a book that I think anybody can pick up and find something that they can relate to. So in some way.
Interesting.
Yes.
And I want to remind our viewers as well as you that our small publishing companies are allowed to create a vendor platform on worldinkers.com. So if you want to join forces with us and help sell your book, that'll be an excellent platform, worldinkers.com. And it doesn't cost anything. So it's just we're there to promote literature and promote books and keep people in tune with what's going on in the modern world as far as literature and scholarship are concerned. So it would be great to have you on there, and we'll have to get in touch with you about that.
Oh, excellent. Yes. Thank you.
How would you describe some of your themes? I mean, did you write about COVID, or did you just channel some of that angst and frustration and doubt into your work?
It's kind of interesting you say that. I never really wrote about. There's one poem that's called To India with Love. And it's when India was going through, the terrible time they were going through with COVID. I wrote a poem called To India with Love. And Mr. Alan Johnson, I'm sure you're quite familiar with him. He creates videos of works that poets publish. And he's an amazing producer. He produces his music and he puts the voice to it. I know there's other people that have joined forces with him as far as the voices go. But he put that out there and created a video. But I really didn't write a lot about poetry. I mean, about the pandemic itself. It was more like you said, it was just whatever I was feeling in the moment, it provided that escape, like I said, from the COVID. But it wasn't based on COVID. It was just based on everything else. And I've talked about this in other interviews and things, that sometimes what I write isn't really about me, and it's about maybe what somebody else is going through. or what somebody else is feeling. So I know I've written some pieces and people have had comments are like, wow, I'm so sorry you feel that way. I'm so sorry you're going through that. And I'm like, well, that piece wasn't really about me. It was more about just giving back and kind of, you know, put
Empathy.
myself in somebody, yeah, and put myself in other people's places and how they might feel. Obviously, like one of them, I wrote a piece on about somebody that was like, it was almost like a divorce type of poem or something. You know, you lost your loved one and stuff. And I do write a lot of different poems like that. And my wife is like, she read it. She reads a lot of my poetry. Melissa, she's very supportive, and she's like, you know, they're probably going to think that we're going through a divorce or I'm like, you know what, they probably will. I'll explain if I have to, but you know, it's just you know, it's just, but other people kind of know. I mean, I think the people that follow me now know what I'm all about for the most part, so they can kind of sense, some of them, you know, if it's really what I'm feeling and going through, or what I'm kind of putting out there for somebody else.
How do you reach that level of empathy where you feel inclined to write about somebody else's experiences?
It's a good question. I don't know. I'm a very empathetic person in general. I'm a very caring person. I try to put myself in other people, you know, and try not to judge or try not to whatever about things. And I've had, you know, a lot of what I write isn't totally blind as far as like my experience with it. You know, there's people that like things that I write, I know that other people are going through, that I've talked to, or something like that. So I tend to, you know, unless I don't know anything about it, I really kind of, you know, I leave that alone if I don't know too much about it, because I don't want to even portray myself as being an expert in that area or knowing anything about it. But yeah, so I have a general kind of consent background of like what's happening or what's going on, even if I'm not going through it myself. And it's more about just like sometimes just putting that out there for that person or for those people. You know, I wrote just recently. You know, I've had a great summer and everything, but a lot of it, unfortunately, has been tied to my mother. She's not doing well. She's in a rehab facility right now, and she's going through dementia. And I've learned a lot about dementia and the effects, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. It's a horrible progressive disease, and so, you know, I've done a lot of research on it. I've just, you know, obviously for my mother's sake, to see what we can do to help her, you know, which honestly isn't a lot. I mean, you got medicines out there and things like that, but it is unfortunately what it is, you know. So I wrote a poem about that, and I belong to this group called Molly's Movement, which is a support group that really deals with the, you know, their loved ones and having it and helps you cope. It's just a support group, and I threw one of my poems out there, and I called it. It's just titled "Mama, I Know You're in There." And you know, I got a very big response with that, but it's more like, you know, listen, I'm here, we're all here, we know what we're going through, we're going to go through this together, and that's kind of how it is. So yeah, my journey with what I feel or how I write or put myself in other people's you know, shoes, it has a lot to do with the experiences, even if it isn't my own personal experience.
That's interesting. So you sort of assimilate, you know, your own experiences into somebody else's. That's an interesting process, and it's fascinating to me that you can do that through poetry and make a, you know, create something out of, like, you know, that's both of yourself, but it's also somebody else's experiences being conveyed, and people can relate strongly to it. Do you find that people respond, you know, like, you know, you teach emotionally needy and so forth kids, you know, and do you find they respond to poetry very well, or
yes, yeah, you know, it's this is the irony of it. I have a minor in English language and lit, but for right now I'm teaching math, so it's but I have incorporated some cross-curricular things and incorporated some poetry when I get a chance, even into my math room, but the kids really enjoyed it. Like actually some of my poetry I made specifically for the school, and they put it on the morning announcements. So the kids heard it, and I had a lot of response. Even kids I never had in the classroom would come, see me in the hall and they're like, "Mr. Brown, I love your poetry. It's great." And of course, everybody wanted one of my books. Like and they're like, "Hey, Mr. Brown, can I get one of your books?" I'm like, if I gave away one of my books to everybody, I said wouldn't be doing it. But and I've actually even had some parents reach out or whatever. So it's been very positive. I think poetry, especially the rhyming part of it, kids enjoy. I mean, I know when like the poetry classes that we have at the school, or not classes, but when the English teacher gets into the poetry at the school, and they have the kids write poetry, probably a lot of them try to rhyme, because that's just growing up with the Dr. Seuss and all that stuff. I mean, I love my non-rhyming poetry, prose poetry myself. I love it. That's not my expertise, my forte. I've written a couple of them, and I just feel like I'm not really good, and that's not what I'm good at as far as the poetry goes. I leave that to other people. Like I've read some of your wonderful poetry. I mean, it's just amazing. And your poetry, it's kind of almost the opposite of mine, because it's like very deep thinking. Even though mine, and this is the way I look at even my poetry. I use simple words, but it sometimes sometimes the poems allow you, even with simple words, to really go deep into it. I wrote something called The Leaf the other day, and it's it's the simplicity of it, but yeah, it talks about life. It talks about like the veins of a leaf, and your life and how it goes different directions and things like that. I think I sent that to you in a video. Alan Johnson made it into a video, but I was actually looking for that earlier. I found the video. I was going to read that today. I think I'm going to try to find it. But anyways, what I got sidetracked. Oh, as far as the poetry and the kids, and everybody's got their style. You have your wonderful style. I have my style, and it's just like, and everybody, everybody finds a niche. What they like, and then they find an audience that likes that kind of what they do. So, but my kids, I think because of the simplicity of it and because of the rhyming, they really kind of liked the poem. And it's funny because I told the librarian he wanted it in the library and in our school, and I am a middle school teacher, and there's a couple poems in there that are a little bit like, would your mom want you to read them, kind of thing. So I never really put it in the library because I'm kind of nervous about that aspect of it. I mean, it's nothing outrageously bad, but it's just kind of, if your mom wants you to get a book, I'm gonna go ahead and get a book. But I don't know, so some of the poems that I wrote to put on the announcements were really about more of the younger audience. So
do you have a favorite poet you currently read?
I dabble with many different ones. Honestly, one of my favorite is Edgar Allan Poe. He is. I remember I had a teacher, fourth grade teacher, Mr. Wallace, and he was big into Alfred Hitchcock and Edgar Allan Poe. And every day he would read something and he would act it out. He would kind of like bounce on your desk and just like turn the lights down. And I became a huge Poe fan, after that. And, I'm, as you had noted earlier, I collect memorabilia from like that type of genre. And it was funny because I was going to actually have I'm sitting on my couch right now. I have a room that is filled with all that stuff. And I'm like, and it's in the background. I was thinking, is that kind of a good background to play on, put on here? Probably not, because it's kind of yeah. So anyways, I decided to change my location. But I like Poe. Poe is amazing. I'm very flattered because Wordsworth is come up a few times. I've had people say that my poetry feels like something like a Williams Wordsworth kind of a feel to it. If I could write even an ounce of the brilliance that man wrote, I mean I'm flattered by it, but I'm certainly no Wordsworth.
Right.
He was amazing poet. But yeah, I just all types of poet. I really don't have a particular favorite, other than if I had to pick one, it would be Poe.
Okay, well, that's great. It's really interesting, the Wordsworth connection. We'll take a brief break, but we'll be right back with some of your works, and we'll see what we think, and maybe it'll sound like William Wordsworth. Maybe we'll see that.
Thanks, yeah. Thanks.
Taking a brief break.
In a world where the quality of information available to poorer communities is doctored, tainted, and sometimes regressive, where the words fake news have come to mean other people's opinions, it is vital to rely on news platform with journalists who have feet on the ground and can report the truth. New York Parrot, a New York-based national and global news outlet, is changing the narratives of media operations. We focus on the news that matters, like self-empowerment, entrepreneurship, finances, health, security, politics, and more. We strive to curb violence, racial and economic discrimination, and to promote peace and socio-economic development of multiculturally diverse world. As we give voice to the people, we also give your business a voice and make it heard. Get your products and services off the ground by advertising on our fast-growing platform. With so much of daily visits to New York Parrot, you can't afford to be invisible to prospective clients on the website they trust the most. Our posts reach millions of people across the New York State and around the world. Advertising on our new site will unlock an audience of thousands of potential customers on your doorstep. New York Parrot is born to prosperously speak tomorrow for the voiceless.
America Open Market, AO Market, the best digital market for humanity, is a free multilingual borderless market open to international sellers with various languages included. With America Open Market, you may start selling in minutes after filling out the form. Comprehensive dashboard where you understand your sales, orders, and customers is available. You get paid directly, securely, and instantly on the America Open Market. You can sell your house, car, electronic laptop, CD player, boombox, phone, headphones, furniture, and clothing, and anything on AmericaOpenMarket.com, where all your sales and customer needs are met. Register as a merchant today. You will not regret becoming a vendor at America Open Market. For further inquiries, contact us at aomarket@gmail.com. AO Market, best digital marketplace for humanity. Welcome back to World Inkers Network. I hope you like that Parrot TV ad. Be in touch with these guys. An excellent news platform and for advertisers. We have Dennis Brown with us today on the show, and he's going to read a couple of his poems, and so I look forward to that, Dennis.
All right, thanks. And first of all, before I begin, I just would like to thank you guys all for the World Inkers Network for providing this platform for us, because it's just been wonderful, and I know it's taken off with you guys, and just greatly appreciate it. But this poem is, you're welcome. This poem is called, well, it's actually the one I just talked about. It's called The Leaf. I found it. So, and in parentheses, I kind of put life. Its veins run among its varied form, within the depth of what it shall be. as it changes into its many colors upon the branches of its tree. Its shape transforms throughout its time, yet the structure within stays strong, while it fights for life among the days, as each dusk gives way to dawn. It feeds upon the water carried from the strength of the roots it shares, and it blows in the winds of its mighty storm, revealing the veins from which it bears. When the last storm comes to be at rest, and its ending winds calm down, the veins of the mighty colored leaf will lay resting on its chosen ground. With the final turn from dusk till dawn, and the time has come to end its reign, the mighty leaf will lose its structure, but its strength will forever be its vein.
Very nice. I can see the Wordsworth connection there.
Yeah, that's good. I appreciate it.
Yeah, nature and life, and some of the parallels.
Right. Yeah, that's what I kind of, I mean, we all kind of, we've got the strength, like the water is the strength of the people around us, and we may change in different forms down the road, as we get older, but what's inside us just continues to remain. And so that's kind of where I went with that. It was just one night. I just, just like any time, I don't really have any plan. It just, I sit down and I kind of think about, it just starts to flow. And most of the time I don't have a title. Sometimes I do first, but most of the time I don't. And then I just let it go in a particular theme or particular area and just go from there. And I write my poetry fairly quickly. I don't like to put anything down. I like to finish it. So there's times that if I'm missing a line or two, or I just want something, I want to finish it. I mean, I could be up till 2:33 in the morning, doing it just because I want to get that last little bit. It's like, I think there's a little part of OCD in me that just kind of wants to get it done. So, but yeah, that's kind of where I roll with that.
Interesting. Would you like to read another one?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think here if, let's see, this is called To My Heart. This is kind of a romance. It's kind of a shortened one. It's called To My Heart. I've loved and lost, and I've loved some more. I've counted the heartaches of the loss I've borne. I've searched so high, yet felt so low. I've learned some lessons of the love I've known. My past has defined the love I give. I've lived to love and loved to live. The love I keep lies within my heart. My love and me shall never part. I've left behind a love I've thought to try to find the love I've sought. For my greatest wish is that one day I'll feel a love forever real.
That's interesting. Was that sort of like an empathy poem as well?
Yes, exactly. Like, yeah, I've found my love, so I don't really. Yeah, so yes, that was one. That was more of an empathy poem. I don't remember the particular circumstances around it, if it was somebody I had talked to. But yeah, it was just something that I just felt like, because everybody needs those type, every type of poem, everybody needs that type. I mean, if they're going through something that, losing a loved one, or whether they're, whatever it be. I mean, that's like I said earlier, that's the beauty of poetry, is it covers every emotion. I mean, I started a novel, I don't know if I'll ever get it done. It's more of a thriller, and with a book and being an author, writing books, I would love to be in that genre one day and have a published like book. But it's like you can read a book and it just takes, you may be able to relate to some things in there, but it's a lengthy and it most of the time it's based on one particular thing, but with poetry, it's so short. It can be so short, and it can deal with any emotion and every emotion. So, I mean, it can hit the heart in a way that I don't think any other type of writing can. It just strikes at the heart, and with the words, because they're brief, but yet they're so powerful. So.
So what can we expect from your next book? Is it along the same lines as this one, or is it something fresh, or you're experimenting a little bit, or staying the same?
I've got a couple in kind of in the works. One of them is it's just going to be 50 love poems. It's just going to be totally love poems. Nothing sad, just just about love. So that's the first book that's going to come out. I've always still wanted to write a children's book of poetry. Miss Annette Tarpley, I mean, I actually have hers. I can give a little shout out to the bird and the dragonfly. She just recently put this out with her nephew, and yes, and it's a wonderful little book. I wrote the foreword in it. I was very honored to write the foreword in it. But I've got the substance of the children's stuff, the substance of the book. I just need to put it together. So unfortunately, like I said, with my mom being ill, this summer has really taken up a lot of my time. Even on the Passion of Poetry, I'm not as involved as I want to be on there, just because it's like, the day flies by, obviously, when I go to visit her and I come home, and so I've kind of put some things on the back burner just because of her. But they will be out. But yeah, it's just, ironically, I put out I got into the whole thing of like no content books. And I did this for the fun of it, and because it didn't take long, and it was like it's called a My Scribble Buddies notebook. And basically what it is just like, it's a little journal that you can use, and you can draw on one side and write on the other. This was very popular at my school. A lot of the kids wanted it because, kids like to doodle and like to draw and like to write. So yeah, so I'm but my focus is going to be on that 50 love poems. And then eventually, like I say, maybe early next year, I'll put out a children's book.
Do you ever do like live readings? Do you ever go to like an open mic and read?
I have, yes. Well, through the Passion of Poetry, I have, but I haven't actually gone physically to live readings. I've done it through Zoom. So I know, Miss Annette Tarpley's put some stuff together. Some other people as well. I've joined and I've done that. I enjoy that. It's a lot of fun, and you get to meet a lot of wonderful people too. So yeah, I do that. I've never been to a live read. Like, I never physically walked in and done a poetry. I don't know, in my area where I kind of looked it up. I'm close to the Detroit area. I'm about 20 minutes from there, in a suburb part, type of place. And I've looked and I've seen some things that are more about, I don't know. I don't know if it's the right place for to be able to recite it, but I'm going to find something. I'd love to find something around here locally to be able to just go physically into a building and recite it. I enjoy that very much. But yeah, online through Zoom, I have done those poetry readings.
So as an admin of a group, the Passion of Poetry, do you find any difficulties being, in process of that, or any challenges?
Ironically, it's gone pretty smooth. Like you said, there's over 24,000 members now. Miss Annette Tarpley started it less than a little over a year ago, I believe, maybe a couple years at the latest. And she started it. She kind of branched off because she wasn't happy with a site that she was on, and she branched off, and it just became huge. And everybody, there's some wonderful administrators on there. Mr. Sarfraz Ahmed's on there, among many others that Richard Lamerix is one of the administrator on there, the nice thing about it is because there's administrators from all over the world. So during the times when we're sleeping or supposed to be sleeping, they're approving poems. And Miss Jill Tate is another wonderful poetess. I don't know if you've read any of her stuff. She does so much work for the Passion of Poetry. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. Like I said, because of what's the craziness that's going on, I hold a Members' Choice Mondays contest. So every Monday, I post a theme, and I'm in charge of that. And I'm trying to do some more stuff, but it's running pretty smoothly, and mainly because of some amazing people behind the scenes, including Miss Annette Tarpley, of course, but who dedicates so much of her time. But we don't really run into a lot of stuff. If something comes up with a poem that we're not sure of, maybe the content of it, maybe a picture, we will run it through our messenger administrative site and say, hey, listen, what do you guys think about this? And it's always done by popular vote. It's never like, unless it's pretty blatant, if it's in question, it always comes to a vote. I know Mr. Annette Tarpley likes to keep things pretty clean on there. And there is a site or a place for every type of poetry. I know there's some very dark poetry. I've written some dark poetry at times, and obviously I know it's really not the place for there, but there's definitely a place for erotica poetry, all kinds of type of poetry. So, but yeah, we've booted some people out, no doubt about that. Sometimes people like to feel like they should get certificates, and I guess I've never really understood the certificate thing. It's a recognition thing, and I think it's cool. But I think really there's some poets out there that really strive for that, and it means so much to them. And I try to understand that. It's like, I get it, but yeah, it's a piece of paper that my opinion is, it's nothing like that super, we come and we judge and we vote about it, and we pick who we think, but it's certainly a recognition, but sometimes I feel like it's an end all be all for some poets, and it's like, no, it really shouldn't be that way. I mean, I'm sorry you didn't win this time, keep posting and hopefully you win, don't give up. But so on the site, I've been reached out to try to publish books that somebody's had, or it's funny because I don't know, if they think I have a lot of money. I'm a teacher. I'm a teacher, so it's like, I make an honest living, I mean, we actually do okay as teachers in Michigan. We get paid pretty well, but people just reach out to me I'm going to be able to support them and their poetry. And it's like, I'm sorry, dude. I was like, I've got a family, I've got things going on in my life, and I'm trying to get books out here. So I try to be as pleasant as I can about it, but I've actually removed or blocked a couple of people because they've been so persistent. And I'm like, I don't want it, I'm sorry. Bye. I mean, I don't have time for this. So,
right. So what kind of advice would you impart at the end of the program here to your fellow writers out there and other creatives?
It's probably the same old stuff I always kind of impart, but just we all have this passion. I mean, we've come together because of the similarity of what we love to do, and we're growing. We're constantly growing. I'm improving with each poem I write. I mean, when I started writing, I wasn't, I wasn't as good as I am now. I've learned to, just even reading other people's poetry or other people's rhymes, or even if they don't rhyme, there's so much learning you can do through other people. in other people's works. And so I just say, you know, continue to write. You know, I know people have reached out to me upset because they got some negative reviews or negative comments, and like, you know what, this is for you. This is what you want to do. You know, don't quit. This is what you believe in. You believe in yourself and keep going. I said things, you know, you'll improve. Everybody's got room to improve. I mean, if you say that you are like, you know, you can't improve on your poetry, or you're the best thing since sliced bread, you're lying. You're lying to yourself, because there's always room for improvement. So just keep that passion flowing. You know, don't quit, and reach out to people that, you know, there's so much of a support system around in this. I mean, I talked earlier that before in a different interview that, you know, it's so nice to be able to find a bunch of people that share the same passion, because I mean, the books and the brick and mortar stores, you know, are going away, unfortunately. A lot of them, I have one Barnes and Noble that's about 35 minutes from here, but I go in there, and it's huge, but you got this little section of poetry. You know, it's not very big, and so it's not, you know, I wish it had more publicity, more, and like sites like this, you're bringing that to the world, to, you know, you're doing that for the poets. So just keep your work out there, and just keep writing for yourself, writing for others, and doing what you love. I mean, I don't care personally. I mean, if I have critics, and I said this before, if I have critics that they're at least reading my work, and everybody needs a critic, because the world doesn't get things done without critics. You know what I mean? I mean, critics start the ball rolling and start people talking and all that stuff. And if you need critics, you need people to spur stuff up, you know, and keep things going. So, you know, just don't let that get you down. Don't let that discourage you. Just keep going, keep writing, keep doing what you love.
Excellent. Would you like to share any shout outs too as well?
Just shout out to the Passion of Poetry, all the administrators on there. I would name them all, but I'll probably forget one. There's like 16. Oh, no, actually there's 21, and I don't want to forget somebody. But they've all been amazing and helped me on my journey. A shout out to my family, you know, who's been supportive from day one with this whole endeavor. And I've dedicated a lot of my time towards this, and they get it, and they understand it, because they know that this is what I love doing. You know, pretty much that, you know, I mean, we're going back to school. A shout out to my school. I don't know if any of them would ever watch this, because they're younger kids, and right now they're more concerned with doing their, you know, video games and things like that. But you know, my school too has been very supportive, and you know, when I published that book, they all a lot of them reached out to me in my whole district. So it's been good. But yeah, and a shout out to you guys for again for all of the great work you're doing. I always catch, you know, your interviews, and you know, your anthologies that you guys put out there, and it's just been, you guys are definitely a strong platform for writers of any kind, and greatly appreciated.
Well, thank you for joining us today. It's been really pleasant talking with you, and wish you the best, and hopefully we'll see some more work from you in the future. You've been watching World Inkers Network, and I'm Dustin Pickering. If you have not subscribed to our channel, you can also like, share, and comment during the program, and ask questions to our guests. If you want to do that, we'll put them on the show. And thanks for watching, and again, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And also, we want to remind you that you can donate to our wonderful organization at paypal.me/NYParrot. That's paypal.me/NYParrot. This is the same PayPal account that you can pre-order our book from, the new Series 3, The Literary Parrot. if you're in that book, or if you're not in that book and you want to pre-order, send us. It's $21 with shipping in the United States, and it's already on Amazon. So take a look there. If you're foreign, if you're outside the US, you can look and see on your, Amazon and find it there. Series 3, the Literary Parrot Series 3. And it'll be a wonderful book for you to take a look at, and it'll support our programming as well as all of our other operations here at World Inkers Network. And remember, you can be a guest on the program as well. That's another way to support us. We love to promote your work and promote your literature and your ideas about the current events and things going on. So you can get in touch with me, Dustin Pickering, at literarycorner@newyorkparrot.com. If you're an author, you're writing your first biography, you're a scholar, you're writing on a subject that's you're passionate about, just get in touch with me at that email, and let me know a little bit about yourself. Send a bio and a headshot and maybe some sample works if you have a couple of poems or a few paragraphs from your book. Send that to me so I can get an idea of who you are. Thanks for joining us, Dennis, and I wish you the best. And remember, again, to subscribe to the channel, everybody out there watching. And if you're in the passion of poetry, get in touch with me, and we'll put you on the program as well. And don't be shy. It's not a trying experience. It's a lot of fun, actually. And I'll go easy on you. I promise. Anyway, thanks for being on the program and watching today. And get to writing. Enjoy your day. Do you know that there is a publishing company that wants to make life easier for you as a writer? This publishing company is called World Inkers Printing and Publishing. We publish in all different languages, and we're looking for writers of all genres, all formats. We're looking for scholars, ghostwriters, playwrights, poets, short fiction, novelists, you name it. We're looking for anybody who is interested in writing and the craft of writing to be in touch with us. You can reach us at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. With World Inkers Printing and Publishing, you do not require a lot of money to publish with us. Contact us today at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. Become a winner with other authors at World Inkers Printing and Publishing. Give